anyone who has ever been lucky enough to fly into space has always described the experience as unparalleled. The majestic sight of our home planet spinning in space, appearing so quiet and peaceful from afar, probably made it a lasting impression on all astronauts. However, not all accounts of space travelers' experiences paint such a peaceful picture. In fact, some astronauts have already reported unexplained and sometimes even creepy events that happened to them in space. Now, you too can hear about the mysterious reports that have left us in awe. Subscribe to our channel and join us on our galactic journey to the most amazing phenomena and mysteries of the cosmos. Unexplained objects. On May 5, 1981, cosmonaut Vladimir Kovalenok was completing his work at the Salyut orbital station when he looked out of the porthole of the spacecraft during his subsequent return flight. He could not believe his eyes. The cosmonaut described the almost unbelievable phenomena he observed during his spaceflight 10 years later at a public press conference. He described an undefined object that seemed to completely defy the laws of physics. The object had an elliptical shape and seemed to be spinning rapidly. A few moments later, the indeterminate vision disappeared in a golden explosion. A second detonation followed, at the end of which two golden shimmering spheres appeared. Subsequently, the astronaut saw a white smoke formation before his ship finally entered the twilight zone of the Earth, and the amazing phenomena disappeared from the space traveler's sight. Curious music. In May 1969, preparations for the first human landing on the moon were in full swing. 2 months before, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin set foot on the Earth satellite. The Apollo 10 crew visited the nearest limits of the moon to conduct a dress rehearsal for their planned visit to the moon. So, astronauts Thomas Stafford, Eugene Cernan, and John Young were busy studying the Earth-facing side of the moon from a distance of about 15 kilometers. However, while the astronauts were photographing the lunar landscape, mysterious sounds came from their headphones. In fact, the unexplained sounds seemed to be forming a melody. No one could explain what was creating the mysterious lunar music. Overall, the phenomenon lasted for more than an hour. Later official statements said that the sounds were probably caused by radio interference. However, the astronauts involved, who were used to technical interference of this kind, said they had never heard anything like it before. UFOs on the moon landing. Maurice Chatelain, former head of NASA's Communications Systems Division in 1975, published the controversial book Our Ancestors Who Came from Outer Space. As the title of the work suggests, the retired NASA employee was a proponent of so-called pre-astronautics. This parascientific thesis is based on the approach that the Earth was inhabited many millennia ago by extraterrestrial intelligent beings who were actively communicating with humans at that time. Monumental buildings such as the Egyptian pyramids or the world-famous Stonehenge are said to point to ancient visitors. One passage in particular from Our Space Ancestors has sparked much discussion. It recounts the final moments before man landed on the moon in 1969. It is said that as Neil Armstrong was descending the spacecraft ramp over the lunar surface, two UFOs flew by. Buzz Aldrin is said to have captured the unknown flying objects in several photographs. After Armstrong stepped on the lunar surface, there was radio silence for 2 minutes. NASA's official explanation justifies this by the fact that one of the two TV cameras overheated, because of which the transmission to the ground was briefly interrupted. To this day, opinions are divided on the question of what images were hidden from the population of the Earth during that period. Neil Armstrong never confirmed the rumors of flying saucers. Despite this, many people firmly believe that the first moon landing was accompanied by such an encounter. Creepy Bang. In 2003, Yang Liwei became the first Chinese space traveler in history. However, the space expedition aboard Shenzhou 5 was accompanied by a very strange incident. On the quiet night of October 16, Yang Liwei suddenly heard unexplained sounds that he simply could not place in any logical context. The astronaut later said that the sound sounded like someone was tapping the hull of the spacecraft with a hammer. Given the fact that space is a vacuum, the Chinese report was initially dismissed as a misleading sensory illusion. Therefore, it seemed all the more inexplicable that two other Chinese astronauts on later flights heard a similar thumping sound. Galactic Snake. Franklin Story Musgrave participated in 6 space flights. Few have left our home Earth more often than this American. Between 1983 and in 1996, Musgrave spent about 54 days outside the Earth. The almost unbelievable story the astronaut told in 1994 is still not forgotten. The astronaut reported that during 2 of his missions, he saw undetermined snake-like objects in space. The objects were estimated to be about 7 meters long. In addition, Musgrave strongly believes that the universe is teeming with a wide variety of life forms. In fact, the former astronaut believes that there are countless civilizations in the universe, clearly more advanced than mankind. Mysterious light phenomena. American astronaut Leroy Chiao once said that it would be the height of arrogance to assume that we humans are alone in the universe. This assertion is supported by a mysterious incident that occurred in 2005. At the time, Xiao had been the commander of the International Space Station for 6.5 months, when the astronaut was repairing antennas about 370 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. His gaze came across an amazing light phenomenon that he simply could not explain. Specifically, he witnessed luminous objects arranged symmetrically to each other. The linear light formations then flew by and disappeared into the infinite expanse of the universe. While many people strongly believe that the phenomena were unexplained formations of galactic origin, others claim that the phenomena actually had an earthly source. Strangely shaped UFOs. When we think of the classic UFO from the world of science fiction, we imagine a typical flying saucer. But the mysterious flying object that 2 astronauts, Ed White and James McDivitt, saw over Hawaii had nothing to do with this characteristic shape. The 2 men described a metallic object with unexplained limb-like structures sticking out of its fuselage. A glowing object. Cosmonaut Musa Manarov spent a total of 541 days in space during his career. However, one particular day was very different from the rest of the space traveler's work assignments. As Manarov headed toward the Mir space station, he noticed an oblong structure, which he captured on camera. The images clearly show the bright object seeming to light up over and over again, while the official explanation called the film structure nothing more than ordinary space debris. Manarov has always strenuously denied this thesis. Gordon Cooper observations. When NASA unveiled the first 7 astronauts in its history on April 9, Gordon Cooper was the youngest of all potential space travelers. On May 15, 1963, Cooper made his first space flight as part of the Mercury Atlas 9 mission. 2 years later, the American was also to become part of the core crew of the Gemini program. Even more memorable than the space flights, however, is an eerie vision Cooper observed back in 1951. It is said that during a routine flight, the then Air Force pilot unexpectedly encountered a giant cluster of UFOs. However, this was not the last eerie sight the American witnessed. While aboard the Mercury capsule in May 1963, he noticed a shimmering green object that seemed to be moving towards him at an incredible speed. The astronaut's report was also confirmed by records from the Moocha tracking station in Western Australia, which detected the object on its radars. An unknown object on the surface of the Moon. Alan Bean became the 4th person in history to step onto the surface of the Moon on November 19. The astronaut made his 2 space missions between 1969 and 1973. During the moon landing, he placed a special isotope battery on the Earth's satellite to provide the necessary energy for subsequent experiments. After about 7 hours and 45 minutes, the American finally returned aboard his lunar module. Alan says that during his trip to the moon, he saw something shiny on the surface of the Earth's satellite that reminded him of Earth's shoe leather. To this day, no one knows what the mysterious object was. Alan Bean died on May 26, 2018, at the age of 86. What information struck you the most? We look forward to hearing your thoughts, feedback, and suggestions on today's video in the comments. See you soon.